Happy Monday, everybody. Chicago Bears Now is sponsored by 8 Sleep. If you're struggling to have that energy you need in the morning to attack your day, well, the Pod 3 cover from 8 Sleep is going to help you out. We'll tell you a little bit more about it later on. 8sleep.com/chatsports gets you $200 off. I'm Harrison Graham, and on today's show, we are going to take a look at some updated free agent targets after a hectic week one of NFL free agency for the Bears, as they obviously made two notable trades, getting Keenan Allen, shipping out Justin Fields. So we'll take a look at 15 players that I think are still worth signing if you are Ryan Poles. But hey, you want to go live this afternoon? You want to keep the live train rolling? Hit that like button. Let's get 1,000 likes on this video. And if so, we will go live this afternoon like we normally do at 4 o'clock Central Time. So if you love the Bears, if you enjoyed the show and want us to go live again, hit that like button. All right, let's get to some free agent targets here that are still out there. Chase Young, and you guys know how I feel about Chase Young. I'm lukewarm on the idea. I think Ryan Poles clearly made the right decision when he traded for Montez Sweat. I think that played out over time. I think the reports out of Washington afterward that they were way more upset about moving on from Sweat than Young proved to be justified, as he was inconsistent or way more upset to lose Sweat than Young, as Young was super inconsistent in San Francisco, kind of known for taking plays off. I thought he had a good Super Bowl, though, and he's still a talented player. 1-year deal, prove-it type of money. Maybe the market's dried up and you get him for a reasonable price. I'm still open to it. Him and Sweat obviously have played together before. If the price is right and it's not a huge cap hit, you could sign me up for this idea. I still really like the idea of Jadeveon Clowney. I know in the past he's kind of also had vibes that Chase Young has provided. Does he mesh in the locker room? Is he a guy that can be a leader? Well, you don't necessarily need a leader if you're going to be productive and a guy that shows up to work every single day. And last year, Clowney did just that with Baltimore. Now, Baltimore is a top-tier culture, a top-tier organization, but I think the Bears have built a pretty good culture here, especially on that defense with a combination of youth and vets that have really meshed well and come together. Clowney was really good last year. I thought he had his best year of his career as a pass rusher. He's always been a good run defender. Again, 1-year deal, maybe in the $10 million range. I would be open to it. There hasn't been any buzz that the Bears are interested, but maybe that changes at some point. I do wonder if Ryan Poles is interested in bringing in Michael Danna. Danna, a player that he helped draft, at least you would think in some regard, as he was in that Chiefs front office, former 5th-round pick who really elevated his game the last 2 years into being a quality rotation player that could also start in a pinch if you need him to. 11.5 sacks over the past 2 seasons. Started some, mostly like he was kind of their third edge. That was kind of his role, but just a guy that wins with effort more than anything else. And I think that type of player plays with what the Bears want, Eberflus and Poles want, hits principle, being an effort guy, energy. I think he provides that. He's obviously been a part of a lot of winning in Kansas City as well. I think that counts for something. Not sure what his market is, but we'll see. I'd be interested to see if Poles would be intrigued in bringing him here. Kyle Van Noy, who, listen, is still a good player, was good with the Baltimore Ravens last year. He's kind of a 30 to 40% snaps guy. He's not going to play every down, but 9 sacks last year still. He was very productive in Baltimore. Listen, the Ravens took a couple of swings. They brought in Clowney, they brought in Van Noy, and they hit on both. Both were really good in their roles, and Van Noy is a situational rusher, is still a productive player. I still think he can be a guy that can help a team. Now, does he want to go to a young, up-and-coming team like Chicago? He's been more of a 3-4 edge in his career, as he is a little bit undersized. Is that a fit for Matt Eberflus? I think he'd add a lot to this locker room. I think he'd add a lot to that defensive line room, as he could help spread some wisdom on some young players in that grouping. So hard to know. He could be a guy that's still on the board after the draft, where he's kind of just waiting for the right situation. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. Derek Barnett, the edge who started last season with the Eagles, got traded to the Texans midseason. He's a player that never has reached his full potential, but he's got the measurables of what I think Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus look for. Big, physical, long edge rusher that I think could provide something, again, probably more of a depth rotation piece. The Bears did sign Jake Martin over the weekend, 18 career sacks, so maybe he's the Rasheem Green replacement, so maybe a player like Derek Barnett isn't in play, but I do think if the price is cheap enough, he could certainly add something, to this room over a player like Dominique Robinson or Khalid Kareem. How about Yannick Ngakoue? Just bring him back. I do think this is a possibility. Now, I tend to think this would be an after-the-draft move. He, of course, ended last year on IR with that season-ending ankle injury. I thought he played a little better after they traded for Montez Sweat. In general, he wasn't that impressive, if we're being completely honest. But if you get through the draft and there's still a need at edge and the market's dried up and you can get Ngakoue for $3 or $4 million, I certainly wouldn't say no. He knows the defense. He's still an occasional decent pass rusher. He certainly is not what we hoped he would be when they brought him in last year. But at the same time, good vibes guy. I wouldn't hate the move if it was pretty cheap. Now, name an edge the Bears should sign, as to me, it's probably your top need right now, edge or defensive tackle. Let me know in the comments section below. Not that many good defensive tackles left, so not really talking about that position here on today's show. What we are talking about is 8 Sleep and ending your age-old sleeping problems. And the Pod 3 cover from 8 Sleep can help you do just that. It slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling technology that helps keep you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. I've had my Pod 3 for a couple of months now, really since about the start of the new year, and I've never slept better. Sleep science shows that in order to sleep our best, our body temperature needs to drop in the early and middle part of sleep and rise up in the morning. The Pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet, and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed, which is nice because if you have a partner that you sleep with, sometimes you like to be cooler, they like to be warmer. It can go as low as 55 degrees up to 110 degrees. Not only does it keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, the Pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics, and this is where I've seen a big difference. Much higher quality sleep that I've had since I've been on the Pod. And on average, users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just 1 month on the Pod. So what are you waiting for? Check out 8 Sleep, the Pod 3 cover right now, 8sleep.com/chatsports. That's 8sleep.com/chatsports. That gets you $200 off your first purchase plus free shipping. You are going to feel more energetic than ever once you start sleeping with this product. Link is in the comments and in the description. One more time, 8sleep.com/chatsports for $200 off. All right, let's go to some receivers still. I think, obviously, after adding Keenan Allen, this is not as big of a need. But you got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. After that, there's still question marks. So, look, do you bring in his former teammate, Mike Williams? He's, when healthy, still one of the better outside kind of boundary type of receivers here. Obviously, last year was limited to 3 games with that ACL injury, but the 2 years prior, he was productive when he was on the field. When he's out there, he's still very, very good, a big play threat. Now, he does have 3 visits lined up, Carolina, the New York Jets, and Pittsburgh. No Bears chatter at this point in time. I don't know what his market is coming off that injury. I doubt the Bears sign him, if I'm being completely honest. But if he gets through some visits and the price isn't that big and the Bears are interested, I certainly wouldn't hate it. I mean, that would give you a pretty damn good trio and even more flexibility entering the draft with that number 9 pick. Josh Reynolds next up here. I've been high on Josh Reynolds for a long time. I think he's a great number 3 receiver. He could play either outside position. He's been a pretty solid player for Detroit the last couple of years. He was good with the Rams as well. I still think the Detroit Lions re-sign him, but if they don't and you want to get him at a reasonable price to be your other outside guy, I certainly would be open to that idea. How about Michael Gallup? The Cowboys released him recently, and, a few years ago and really earlier on in his career, people thought he had wide receiver 1 potential. He never really hit that, but he was a good number 2 for a while. The problem is he tore his ACL a couple of years ago, and since then he has not looked like the same player. The route running isn't as crisp as it once was. He doesn't separate nearly as much anymore. He's kind of cooked. Now, if you want to bring him in, work him out, and sign him to a really cheap deal, I'm not opposed, but I don't think this is a guy you can rely on to give you consistent production at this point in his career. Could he be like a decent 3, solid 4? Yes, but I'm not sure he's what the Bears are looking for at this point in time. Hit the subscribe button because we have daily Bears content for 100% free. We got you covered here on Chicago Bears Now. We are less than 300 subscribers away from 90,000, a huge milestone on YouTube. I appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown. If you want us to continue this momentum, hit the sub button if you haven't already. How about Odell Beckham Jr.? Now, I've been in the camp of A, I don't think this is very likely at all. B, I don't know if I would do it. I'm certainly open to the idea. I think if you want to, again, give your rookie quarterback that you're going to draft next month, whoever that may be, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, whoever. I think we all think it's going to be Caleb, but whoever it is, sure, give him as many weapons as possible. Now, the reason I think this is at least slightly more possible is OBJ essentially said goodbye to the Ravens over the weekend, signaling an exit there, that he's not going to be back. Where does he end up? I've kind of thrown Cincinnati as a potential destination if they move on from T. Higgins, or even if they don't and they lose Tyler Boyd. So, could the Bears inquire, maybe is he worth the headache that he can bring into a locker room with the production being kind of average at this point? I don't know, but it's certainly an interesting idea. Marquez Valdes-Scantling also is an interesting idea. Obviously played with the Packers for a number of years, so he knows the division. Kansas City, his 2 years there were certainly up and down, but one thing that's always been true with him is in the playoffs, he has been a big play machine. I mean, he's not consistently having 100-yard games or anything like that, but it just seemed like when they needed a play, he made it more often than not over the last couple of years. So that has some value for a team that's trying to be a playoff team. He's also a big body receiver that can take the top off a defense, has good speed, does have some drop issues, doesn't run the full route tree, but 1 year, $5-6 million to be another outside threat, even if he's not a full-time starter, I certainly could get behind that idea. And I kind of feel similarly about DJ Chark. 6'3", 6'4", good speed, good boundary receiver. He does have a lot of injury concerns, which is why I've been lukewarm on him. But when I look at this Bears wide receiver depth chart, Keenan Allen's going to work primarily out of the slot. Obviously, in 2 wide receiver sets, he'll be on the outside some, and occasionally in 3s he will as well. But I kind of view DJ Moore as going to be your X. Keenan Allen is going to be your slot. And then you need a Z guy or another X guy where DJ Moore can play some Z as well. Ideally, Tyler Scott at least has to compete for that number 3 wide receiver role. And look, I think there's still a good chance they get someone in the draft, but maybe you bring in a guy like a DJ Chark or an MVS to give you a different look at that second outside receiver spot, just to give you some different options at the position. How about Marcedes Lewis? I still would very much like to bring him back. You've got a really good 1-2 punch now in Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett. Everett, a clear upgrade over Robert Tonyan, as we've discussed here on this channel, but you still need that number 3 guy. I don't think Steven Carlson is that. I think he's your tight end 4 that's battling for a roster spot, but probably on the practice squad. Marcedes Lewis, I know he's going to be 40 this year. He's still a well above average blocker, a guy you can dump the ball off to occasionally as well. Provides a ton of value to that tight end room and to the locker room. Cole Kmet spoke about that extensively throughout this season. I think he's worth bringing back for another year. This one's going to probably surprise some people. How about Ryan Tannehill? Ryan Tannehill is probably the top veteran quarterback still out there. I look at this Bears QB depth chart. Obviously, they're going to draft somebody. That's going to be their QB1. Tyson Bagent. Brett Rippon's kind of your Nate Peterman replacement. I still think, whether it's Caleb Williams or Drake May or Jaden Daniels or whoever, I like the idea of having an experienced veteran who's had success, not just in individual play, but has also won in this league. Ryan Tannehill has played in an AFC championship game. He has helped lead Tennessee to a 13-win season and a number 1 seed in the AFC. He's played a lot of football. Now, does he want to come here and mentor a rookie quarterback? I don't know. That's up to the Bears to figure out that type of information. But to me, is Brett Rippon, is he that guy? I guess, in that situation, he could be the veteran kind of spokes guy for Caleb, and then Bagent's just a backup from a player standpoint as a second-year player. But, man, if you could get Tannehill for $5 million, $6 million, he's your QB2 for a year. Tyson Bagent's your QB3. You can kind of just focus on developing him to be your long-term backup. But Tannehill can really help this rookie quarterback transition. I really do like that idea still. So I want to hear from you guys. Should the Bears upgrade at backup quarterback with a veteran like this? Yes or no? Let me know. I still like the idea. I don't get the sense that the Bears are going to go that route, but man, if Tannehill's up for it and the price is right, I think I would be very inclined to do just that. And then Connor Williams, this is kind of another curveball too, because you're going to say, Harrison, the Bears signed Coleman Shelton and Ryan Bates can play center. Yeah, that's all true, but did want to get to this note from Joe Shad, and then I'll kind of explain my reasoning here. Connor Williams had a pretty significant knee injury. He's taking his time with his rehab. Don't think the plan is to sign with the Dolphins or any team right now. I think he's focused on his medical situation, getting healthy, see where he stands, not anytime soon. That was Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, talking about that situation. But Connor Williams, before the injury, was set to be by far the best center to hit free agency. And it's a shame for him because it's going to cost him millions of dollars. But what if he's still out there after the draft, say? And if you don't draft a center in the draft, well, you have Coleman Shelton on a 1-year, $3 million deal. You have Ryan Bates, who's played more guard in the NFL than center. What if you sign Connor Williams, who, by the way, has also started 4 years in the NFL at left guard, so you can play guard or center, and you kind of say, hey, continue to rehab. We've got Shelton and Bates, guys who can play there, but when you're healthy, maybe you become our starting center. Maybe you're our top backup interior guy. Maybe Ryan Bates is more of just your backup guard, and Williams is your starting center, and Shelton's your backup center. Like, a post-draft signing, I would not completely dismiss, because if this guy gets healthy, he is an upgrade. He is a clear starter in this league. And oh, by the way, if he has to play guard for you, well, both your guards have injury history in Nate Davis and Tevin Jenkins. So I'm in the business of adding good football players, especially if the value is right. I know you've kind of loaded up on that interior with some depth. I would still not dismiss this. Coleman Shelton at $3 million is not like well, we have no choice but to roll with him and or Ryan Bates at center. I don't agree. I like what they've done. I think that combination is a clear upgrade over Whitehair and Lucas Patrick, but if the market is cheap and you can get Connor Williams in your building on a 1 or 2 year deal for very affordable price, I would absolutely do it if I was the Chicago Bears. All right, there you go. 15 free agents that I still think the Bears could and should be interested in. We'll see if Ryan Poles has any more moves up his sleeve. I am Harrison Graham. Like this video if you want us to go live this afternoon, and if all goes well, we'll be live at 4 o'clock Central Time.